Where's your coffee?
My coffee's down here. I feel so coffeeed up.
I know. Why'd you
I'm like,
All right. Is it 3:33? Let's get started.
Whoops.
Yes.
It is 3:33.
Well, welcome to our Wake Up Wednesday. My name is Nicole, and
I'm Lisa. Limitless-U.
yes, if you're gonna follow her, it's Limitless-U. You won't find her under Lisa. Anyhow, we do these Wake Up Wednesdays as a way to stay awake in our waking dream and to bring our unconscious patterns and beliefs and stories into the conscious mind so we can live a fully awakened life filled with joy and magic and all of the good things.
That's right, because it's as we become conscious that we actually can create our reality. When that unconscious gear is in place, oh boy, it can wreak some havoc sometimes.
Well, then there's no control over your life. You're just like in the passenger seat, like what the hell's happening? So we hope to get you into your driver's seat through these Wake Up Wednesdays. And today we're going to be talking about your inner seasons. And so my intention in talking about this and my intention in doing this work and putting it out there is to bring awareness to the cycle that lives in a woman and to hopefully invoke a hunger for them to have a desire to embody this cycle and to really embody their authentic self through the movements of their cycle. Hi, Rebecca. So yeah, I hope that you'll enjoy where we're gonna go today.
And I am so passionate about this topic. When Nicole really brought the ideas and the concepts to me, oh my gosh, you'll hear more about it as we dive in today, but it's just so really important that as women, whether they're teenagers or women in their later part of life, that we really have a deeper understanding of how this cycle moves within us. And how when we bring consciousness to it, consciousness forward, we can actually move with the cycle rather than some other things. Maybe that's where we should start. What are the things that we do?
It's definitely a moving with the cycle rather than fighting or being against the cycle that is naturally occurring inside of you. So we are obviously female beings. If you're in a female body, you're going through a cycle, or you have at one point, whatever it may be. And so we go through the seasons just like the earth does, and the earth is the embodiment of the feminine, and as we know, the earth goes through 4 seasons in most places. And so we have the seasons of winter, we have the season of autumn, spring, and summer. And so if we take that, we can see how our cycle is related to those seasons and the synchronicities that happen. So we'll get right into it. So we have, well, first of all, I want to say that in our womb space, our womb moves through these cycles, right? And so our womb is figuratively and literally moving through a cycle of life and death. Every single month, we have the opportunity to shed through our menstruation and then to be reborn through pre-ovulation to fully create and express ourselves through ovulation. And then we have the opportunity to descend back into a preparation of letting go in our autumn season. So it's this beautiful cyclical nature of life and death through the seasons that we move through.
Now, how do we normally handle it? So, you know, it's like if you live, I mean, we live in California, so winter, sometimes we don't even really know it's winter, right? But if you're in a place where it snows and things like that, it's not like a big surprise, right? You know that winter's coming, you know how to prepare for winter, and, you know, this program that Nicole has created called The Inner Seasons is really amazing because what it did for me is it helped me understand what winter entails. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because as we're talking about this, bring forward your own consciousness. How do you typically show up when winter comes? And of course, right now, you're not quite sure what winter looks like. So Nicole, do you want to just give them a quick understanding of winter?
So if you think of winter in our natural world that's happening around us, it's a darker period. There's a lot of die-off, like those things dying in the earth or have already died. So, and it's a very inward sort of feeling, right? We kind of want to move inward. We want to stay in more. We want to be in our houses, kind of nestled up. And so winter is a representation of the first season that we move through in our cycle, which is the season of menstruation. And it is the season that our bodies are desiring and asking for a bit of rest. Now, this might not mean you take an entire week off or you take a whole day off. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it could be a whole day, it could evening, whatever it is. Our body is literally shedding a lining of our uterus. So we are being asked to slow down even for a moment and pause and to go within. But instead we've been taught, take 2 pills, ignore what's happening in your body and get on with your day.
So, just side note, if you're in the dead of winter, you're not going to run outside in your underwear when it's snowing and
Right.
go for a jog. That's not going to happen.
Exactly. So
Right.
it's a time of pausing, of reflection, of contemplation. It's also known, so also our psyche moves through certain archetypal energies within a month's period. And in this season, we embody the archetype of the wise woman. So there's a lot of deep wisdom in this part of the cycle.
And in her program, she has
Yes.
a lot of deep, like, what I loved about it was all the details that, like, she goes into in a very actually concise amount of time. Like, it's totally doable. Like, you can slide it in along with your process and then really embody the content beyond a 20-minute live on Instagram.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot more details in the program. So we're just going to be touching on a little bit here. So that's the winter phase. It's the embodiment of the wise woman. It's a time for reflection, of inward moving, of really honoring what your body is releasing. It's a time to physically shed, but also shed mentally, emotionally, and spiritually whatever happened over the past month that's no longer serving you or that you don't want to bring into the next cycle of rebirth that is about to happen in the next phase. I think that's all I wanted to say about the winter phase.
I want to say one more thing about it.
Okay.
Because I don't know if any of you relate to me, but I'm a doer. I'm a beer too, but I'm a doer. Like, I've got big lists and lots to do, and I'm very like type A, you know? And I feel like I'm around a lot of people that in fact, in today's age, with everything happening as fast as it does, it really requires us in some ways to kind of be that way. Mm-hmm. And what I really appreciate about understanding that connection more, like when I brought consciousness to the winter as I'm going through it, I've been allowing myself to slow down. And in the slowing down, I can actually, like you were saying, the wise one, right? We're slowing down.
Yeah.
I can actually receive the, I can take the time to ask questions and really receive answers about what I need, where I'm at in my life, what I might need to move forward, rather than continuing to just plow through everything so fast.
Exactly. So much wisdom held in this portion of the cycle in the winter season. It also, like, our hormones are obviously changing throughout a month's period. So your estrogen is lower at this point. Your progesterone is higher, which means you're going to have less energy naturally, and still we want to plow through it, even though every signal in our body, our hormones, the pain that we go through, the fatigue that we have, everything that we're going through, we're just ignoring it all and plowing through it. So that's the first season.
Side note, for all of you men that are tuning in, hopefully you've made it this far, we also hope that through this revealing of what we go through as women, that it'll empower you in your relationships with women, that as women, that if a man is listening to this, that he will have more wisdom on how to interact and connect and support or hide. When is the time to hide and duck for cover? Winter.
More autumn. So, okay. So now we're moving into, so now we've just completed winter. We're feeling a little bit better. And so now we move into the season of spring. So if you think about winter outside, right, when everything has melted or the air is a little warmer and we start to see little buds of things coming back to life, this is what we feel naturally as we're finishing our menstruation and we're moving into the season of spring. We feel this new life, this new birth of energy. And it's a very creative, very playful, very curious energy that's in this season. And we honestly have shed a whole layer. So now there's a brand new, fresh layer in our uterus. And that energy of the physical energy within our bodies is going to be expressed in all other areas of our life. So as far as our psyche, what it moves through is the archetype of the maiden. And so if you think of a young innocent child. She's very curious, very playful, very creative. Ideas are flowing in. Everything around her is innocent, and it's a really beautiful phase to start creating and putting yourself out there. It's also a really good season to be nurturing, and we're taught as women we should be nurturing all the time. We should always be giving. We should never feel tired. We should never feel like we're not able to give. When really, in our autumn and winter phases, we should be setting a thicker boundary with the outside world and creating more space for nurturing us, so that in these other phases, such as spring that we're talking about now, and summer, we can be more open and loving to giving to those around us. And we have more energy to do so because we've taken time to nurture ourselves.
Again, side note for the men out there, this is a good time to really ask for the things that you want. You don't want to come in. Yes, you don't want to come in at winter or autumn, as she's going to get into. So again, and then for ourselves too, right? When there's a project or something that we've got around the corner, and one of the things that I love also about, sorry, I keep talking about her course, but we don't have enough time to get into it today, is how she ties it to the cycles of the moon also. So as a woman who might be in your spring, if it's in alignment with some of the cycles of the moon, it's like explosive creative energy. Like you want to know when that's coming in.
Yeah.
Because you want to harness that.
Exactly. You want to harness that energy. And so this is what it means to live in alignment with your cycle and to embody the different phases that you're going through. This is what it means to live that embodiment of your authentic self. We can't be one way an entire month's period, and we force that on ourselves because we don't want to be judged by society, by men, by other women, whoever it is that we're afraid of being judged by. So when we actually know this information, we can allow ourselves to go through the cycle with grace, with understanding, and with so much knowledge and wisdom.
So let's talk about the one.
Which one?
The next one.
Well, summer's next.
Oh, sorry. There's two. Sorry.
So the spring is going to be your pre-ovulation. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Now after pre-ovulation comes ovulation. So we're getting into the season of summer. Now, if you think of the season of summer in the outside world, what Mother Nature is going through, summer is hot, summer is steamy, summer is very extroverted, very out there. You want to go out, you want to mingle, you want to network, you want to, anything that you've kind of created in the spring phase is ready to be birthed, and you're ready to put it out there because you have so much confidence and magnetism, and your estrogen is higher, so naturally your body and your everything around you feels and looks at its peak. Like your skin is clearer, your eyes are brighter, everything is just
Peaking.
ready for it's peaking. I mean, obviously you're ready for procreation, so your body's giving out those signals, but you can use that energy to start to plant seeds and really harness what you want to harness in your life. So that's going to be summer ovulation phase. Anything you want to throw in there?
I love the summer, literally within me and
It's
outside
fun.
of me. It's like the ultimate peak.
Yeah.
You know, it's just my energy's peaking. I feel so vital. I love like the warmth of the sun, and I feel like in my own personal cycle, it's a time when I'm high vibing.
Yeah.
You know, I can connect.
Yeah, and there's a need for each and every one of these phases. We can't always be in summer phase. That's not realistic. That's not natural. That's not how life is meant to be. We're meant to go into the depths of all of these different energies.
In fact, you would never know how bad autumn sucks unless you had a summer.
Exactly. Exactly. So the archetypal energy that our psyche moves through in this phase is the mother and or the lover. So it's the time where we are extra nurturing. Our barriers between the outside world are very thin. Our boundaries are very thin. We're really wanting to give. We're wanting to put ourselves out there for others. It's a really good time to just give as much as you want. You actually have a desire to do that.
Reminds me of that song.
Which one?
Summer loving,
Yeah.
having some fun.
Oh my God, Grease. It's a good movie.
Okay.
So that's gonna be your next phase. So winter, spring, summer. So these are the 3 inner seasons that we've gone through so far.
Actually, can I just ask you really quick
Mm-hmm.
a question? So, for a man
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship with a woman,
Mhm.
and she's in her summer phase,
Uh-huh.
how can he harness that energy?
gosh, well, all he really has to do is give her some touches, tell her she's beautiful, give her some kisses.
And he's in, like Flynn.
Well, yeah, as long as he's respecting the other seasons. And this is also great language to use in your relationships, because a lot of the times we want to say, I'm PMSing, I feel crazy. Or maybe your partner's like, oh, you're being bratty or bitchy. Hopefully they're not using that word, but because you're about to have your period. And it's like, it's just so shut down, right? Because there's no space for all of these seasons and energies to be expressed. But when you turn it into a language like this, it really sets the tone for a different conversation with your partner and even your friends and even everyone else in your life.
Yeah.
So when you say to your partner, I'm in my autumn phase, it, for some reason, it just gives them more space of understanding once you've explained to them what your autumn phase is.
The tsunami is coming.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
It's true. Like, you know that I'm going to be a little bit more emotional, more tired, more fatigued, more sensitive. And so they can have more space and respect for you in that phase, because it's no longer deemed as the crazy phase or the bitchy phase, or you're just PMSing and it just gets wiped off. It's, I'm going to be expressing all that needs to be expressed in this phase of my entire cycle within a month's period. And it just is a game changer in relationships, I swear. So now we get into
this is
the
one.
autumn phase.
This
So
is the one.
this is usually the longest. This is pre-ovulation. First I want to say that, oh no, I already mentioned that. So now we're getting into the autumn phase. So this is pre-menstruation. This is the descent into the wise woman. But before we get there, it's
The descent into the darkness.
it's the descent into, the darkness, so that we can, again, be reborn into the light when it's back to spring. It's the descent so that something can die off. But in this phase, we're going to be more emotional, more sensitive. It's the archetypal energy of the wild woman. So in this phase, there are usually our filters are not there, and we are very, very intuitive in this phase. And again, we have shut this off because it's been deemed as the crazy phase, or ignore this phase, or, oh, I'm just super emotional right now. But there's so much wisdom in this phase as well, because we're so sensitive in this phase, we can really tune into what needs to change and shift in our lives. Like, what shadow parts of ourself can we work on in this phase? Because our shadows really tend to come up and out in this phase. So it's a really beautiful opportunity to develop such an awareness of yourself, because you're being asked to draw inward. You no longer have the capacity to share yourself so big and greatly with the outside world and even with the people that you love. So it's a beautiful opportunity to do some inner work, to do some journaling, some contemplation. Again, also a time for rest. I usually notice, like, right before I'm about to menstruate, about 2 to 3 days before, I have the least amount of energy, and I usually clear my schedule as much as I can. Obviously, we still have to work, we still have to show up, but I honor that part, that my body is so fatigued right before I'm about to shed. And it's also been a game changer for me, because then I can show up for other people and my clients and people that I love even better in the other phases, because I have not burnt myself out trying to give so much when my body is saying no.
The image that was kind of coming to my mind, Nicole, is like when the leaves are starting to like turn, it's like a whole process.
Yes, it's exactly what's happening.
And if we slow down in this process, we can really see what leaves are starting to turn, what leaves are going to, kind of fall away, or is it time to let fall away as we move in from the autumn back
into winter. So it is that preparation. It's like Lisa was saying, it's seeing the leaves, seeing that really drastic change from summer to fall in the outside world, which is happening in the inside world too. When we go through that change, it's pretty big, it's drastic. And we start to see, okay, well, what here is serving me? What is it? What am I ready to let go of, right? What leaf am I ready to let fall? And then you set that intention to let that go when you go into your winter phase. So it's, as feminine beings, we live such a sacred life just by connecting through our cycle, and we can use our cycle to navigate in all things that we do. It's our inner compass of wisdom. And it's a beautiful, beautiful way to practice self-embodiment.
I was just thinking too.
Yeah, tell us.
I was just in Florida, right? And there was all these tornadoes, or not tornadoes, but hurricanes. But I was just thinking how ironic it is that in the Caribbean, at least, and in that part of the world, it is literally in the fall when the hurricanes, it's hurricane season in the fall.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Mother Nature knows. She's the wisest one around. But we have that wisdom in us. Like, we have the wisdom of the Great Mother that lives inside of us. And so we can really tap into that when we deeply understand this. And so if you're wanting to learn more and really dive into this work and really embody who you are as a woman, then I do offer a program called The Wisdom of Your Four Inner Seasons. And it's online. It's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours worth of content. You can go at it at your own pace. So it's super easy to relate to, easy to digest. I've integrated science, what happens to you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, so you get a little bit of everything that's happening. It's not all woo-woo and out there. It's also very grounded in solid information and solid science to back it up. And it's really affordable. It's the 4 Inner Seasons for only $44 because I wanted it to be accessible for all women out there, because I believe that when we live in alignment with our womb, we can truly create magic and power in our lives. How has it helped you in learning the seasons of your cycle and really using them as your inner compass?
I think the best way to say it is really, it's heightened my self-respect because I'm understanding what's actually happening in my body in a different way, and it's giving me a different lens to interact with it. And you know me, I'm big on ritual, so I love to use it as another excuse to have a ritual of, you know, that natural cycle of death and rebirth. And I also want to say that just as a therapist who is out there that work with a lot of women and so forth and so on, it's missing.
It is missing.
Women are not connected to their cycle, and they're suffering. I've had several clients that, you know, it literally is a hurricane for them every month, and it's like, not only do they have to batten down the hatches, but everybody around them within 20 miles, we need to batten down the hatches. And it's really like magical what's happening, yet because it's so uncomfortable and it can feel so destructive, the relationship to it,
there's a complete disconnection of the relationship. We haven't really been taught how to connect to self and how to use your feminine cycle as a way to show up in your life. And so because of that disconnection, it's going to be more painful. It's going to feel more chaotic. It's going to feel more disconnected. And everyone around you is going to feel that wrath of, Go ahead.
So I'm just feeling how I'm feeling right now is that every parent on this planet who has a teenage daughter needs to get this for their child, for their young female. What a gift to have that knowledge and that understanding at a younger age, and to be empowered as a woman. And what a gift to give your child, right? Because it's not something that maybe they would even like, I don't know, I don't have kids, but I'd imagine if I had a teenage daughter, she's not going to want to hear about this stuff from me.
Probably not.
No.
Well, no, actually, I do feel like it's very important for the mother to be sharing this information. It should be passed down the line, this generation. It's so sacred in that way. I wish that I had this information passed down to me from my generation. Unfortunately, they weren't aware of it. So it's okay. We are gaining awareness now. It's coming back into our society. This once was very sacred to all of the tribes, all the indigenous cultures. They understood a woman's cycle to be very powerful. Even the men, they knew it, and they would build huts when it was time for women to go through menstruation, and they would send them over there because during menstruation it was known that they would get visuals and information and downloads for the tribes. And so this is getting a little bit maybe over the head, but this isn't new work. This is very ancient, very old wisdom that we're just integrating back in our modern day world. And so it can be done. In fact, it needs to be done because we live such a linear, masculine driven world. It's time to embody more of these feminine aspects because ultimately it's authentically who we are.
So back to the teenagers, if you have one and they're in their autumn and they're like
Love
a tsunami or a tornado at home, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have that language for your teenage daughter to be able to say, I'm in my autumn, or winter is coming, or whatever it is?
Winter is coming.
With that said, Nicole,
What time is it?
it's time.
Oh, we probably went over this time. So yes, as I was mentioning, if you want to learn more, you want to really dive into this, you can click on my link, and in my bio, that takes you to my website, and you'll just go to the Inner Seasons, and all of the information is there. If you can't do the one payment, then you can do it in 2 payments of just $22, so it's very affordable, and I highly recommend doing it and passing it along to all your other friends and your sisters and the whole world.
Soon she will have it in different languages.
Yeah, I would. It's coming.
Okay, but listen, one more thing before we portal out. Nicole and I are very excited
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
to share with you that we're going to be starting a new live. All the details are coming. We don't have all the details yet, right? We don't have them yet.
No, we know it's gonna be the first Saturday of every month.
Okay, so I guess we did have that detail.
And it's gonna be, we're just gonna sit with some coffee and talk controversial coffee. So we're gonna just bring things that can be very controversial in our world and try to see through multiple different lenses, right? Because there's not just one lens. And so just bringing awareness to different topics that are happening in our world and how we can hopefully open our mind to seeing it in different ways.
Yeah, so it's Espresso Yourself, Coffee Talk or Coffee Chat with us, starting on the 1st of the month. What time? We haven't decided.
Stay tuned. We'll tell you soon.
Stay tuned for the
2
time.
Wednesdays, come to Lisa's Instagram. We'll be talking about something we don't know yet, and we hope you've enjoyed this, and we will see you all very soon. Lots
And
of
it's
love.
Limitless with the letter U, not Y-O-U. Letter U.
I'm going to
Limitless.
tag her so you can go to this video and go follow her.
Have the best day ever.
Love you.